We all know the best Iron Maiden songs, and we all know the songs that we expect to see when we see them play live. Number of the Beast, Run to Hills, The Trooper, to name just three. But what about the songs they've never played live before? Those songs, those deep album cuts that you think, that's a great song. Why don't they play it live? So let's go through the songs that Iron Maiden don't play live. Welcome back to Rucker's Beer Review. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to do Iron Maiden songs that they don't play live or they haven't played live. And I'm going to put this video into two parts. So this part one is going to be from their first album, Iron Maiden, up until Fear of the Dark, the last album with Bruce Dickinson in his first tenure with the band. There's lots of songs that Iron Maiden don't play live. Lots of really good songs that they don't play live. And you often wonder, why not? And maybe this tour, the next tour that's coming up, we expect they've released a new album. They're playing Downloading next year in 2022. What sort of songs are they going to play? Obviously, they're going to play lots of stuff from Senjutsu, the new album, and they will play some deep cuts. But I wonder if they're going to play some songs that maybe we don't hear much, or we've never heard before. And to be honest, they've got such great catalogue of good songs. It's a shame why some of these songs aren't getting a play. So I'm going to go through them album by album. So what made me want to do this? Well, I've been going back through the albums. Obviously, Senjutsu just come out this month, and I've been getting really into Iron Maiden, and I do really like the new album. The more I listen to it, the more I enjoy it. And I've been going through some of their sort of earlier stuff, and I just thought, just trying to sort of compare it, see what I thought of that against some of their older stuff. And when I was listening to some old albums, I'm thinking, there's songs on here that I haven't heard for years, with a band like Iron Maiden, you listen to them, you get them on, you might have a random playlist of Iron Maiden, but you don't necessarily get the sort of songs, the deep cuts in the album. And when I started to look into this, I think, yeah, there's a few of these songs, these are good, I wonder if they've ever played them live. Certainly, I've never seen them play live. And so I went through a set list. If you go onto the web, onto the internet and type in set list, you can actually see all the set lists from Iron Maiden for over the years and the songs that they played on the tours and in certain dates, etc. So I went through this and I thought, there's certain songs on there that they've never played live. Never. Even from albums that long ago, they never played them live. They never played them on the tour of that album, the promotion of that album. And then in subsequent tours, they've never sort of reintroduced them. So let's go through them. We're going to go through them album by album. And we'll start with obviously their first album, Iron Maiden. Now, surprisingly enough, a band's first album, they're going to play these songs because they've not got much in their catalogue to play live. And actually, the Iron Maiden is the only album that they have actually played every song from. So every song from there, even the sort of before Iron Maiden, there was an EP called the Soundhouse Tapes, and they played the songs off there as well live. So Iron Maiden, that album, they've played every single song live at some point or another. So the first album, though, the first album which they haven't, but there's a song on there that they haven't played live, is Killers, which is their second album. Again, you'd expect they'd only have a couple of albums. You'd expect them to play everything off it. And actually, the song on Killers that they haven't played, Prodigal Son. Now, Prodigal Son, if you listen to it, yes, it's quite different when it comes to it. Even back then, it's quite different for Iron Maiden. It has a much bigger sort of Jethro Tull sort of sound to it. It's sort of almost like a semi sort of ballad, but it's not that much different than something like Strange World from their first album. So I'm surprised I haven't played it live. And actually, you listen to it and you think, this is a good song. How it would fit in live with their sort of sound, it's quite sort of laid back. But as I said, it's got these sort of Jethro Tull sort of influences. And there's certain songs on the new album that got slight Jethro Tull sort of influences. So I'm interested to see whether they would actually ever play it at all live. So that's the only song on Killers. Prodigal Son is the only song. Then we get to Number of the Beast. So Number of the Beast, there's 2 songs, and I think they are pretty much the worst 2 songs on a, you know, what is seen as a classic album. And that's the intro, the first song, Invaders, and also Gangland. Now, Gangland I think is better than Invaders. But it's a really, and it would be great live because it's a really fast song. Maybe they can't play it. Maybe it's too fast for them to play. But those 2 songs they've never played live. And, you know, whether we'd ever hear them, I don't know. I think Gangland, I would like to hear Gangland live. Invaders, not so much. Then we got Peace of Mind. Now, listening to this recently, I did think that it did sort of start tailing off during the end, and actually the last few songs are, you know, are not up there with the likes of The Trooper, Revelations, Die With Your Boots On, Flight of Icarus. Those really great songs. The 2 songs that I haven't played live is Quest for Fire and Sun and Steel. I'm quite surprised I have played To Tame a Land. Is another one which I don't think is that good, but Quest for Fire and Sun and Steel. Now, these are 2 songs that I don't think are great songs, and I would be very surprised if we ever see them played live. But then we get on to Power Slave, and on this album, there's 3 songs that they haven't played live. Now, Power Slave, obviously, there's, you know, was the tour where Live After Death, which probably, you know, certainly back in the day was always my favourite go-to sort of Iron Maiden album because I thought it made some of the songs on Power Slave sound better, and obviously then it had all their sort of other good tracks from the subsequent album, the previous albums. So I think it's a really good live album, and it's one of those albums that makes the songs better. But from that, there's songs that they obviously didn't play on that tour, and they haven't played on subsequent tours. So 3 songs: Flash of the Blade, The Duelists, and a song that I really like, Back in the Village. Now that's the sort of song that I'd love to see them play live. I think it's a really good song. Yeah, it's not up there with Power Slave and Aces High and 2 Minutes to Midnight. But it's still a really good song. So they're the 3 songs. Back in the Village would be my sort of pick for them to play live. Then we get to my favourite Iron Maiden album, Somewhere in Time. Now this is an album that, you know, again, you don't get much stuff played live. Yes, you get Wasted Years, but there's, and Heaven Can Wait, they've played that. But there's 2 songs that they haven't played live, and 1 song where they played it once. Not just once as in 1 tour, but in 1 single gig. So once, and that's Loneliness of a Long Distance Runner. You think, that's a great song. Why don't they play that live? And they played it once, just 1 time. That's a shame. The 2 other songs on here, and this is where I'm starting to feel that we start a little sort of trend, is the long song Alexander the Great. Again, a lot of people say it's one of their best sort of epic songs. They've never played that live. You'd be surprised they didn't play that on the actual Somewhere in Time tour. And the other song, which is another good song, Deja Vu. It's a Murray Dickinson pen track. It's one of those, it's a really catchy sort of song. It could have been a single. I'm surprised I haven't played that live. And as I say, this starts the little theme here, is that Dave Murray doesn't write much. You know, he pops up on occasional albums where he's written something. He's not written anything on the new album, but he'll co-write usually 1, at most 2 songs from each album. And Deja Vu is one of his songs. So I'm surprised, and so they haven't played that one. But then as we go on to the subsequent albums after this, up to Fear of the Dark, you'll see there's more sort of Dave Murray songs that aren't played live. So let's hit Seventh Son. I mean, this is a concept album. You'd be surprised that they didn't play this in its entirety. It's not as if it's like an 80-minute album. It's quite short, really, when you think about it for a concept album. But 2 songs they've never played live. Prophecy, this is another Dave Murray song, which is a really good song, and Only the Good Die Young, the last song on there. Again, brilliant song. I'm surprised how strong that album is. They haven't played those 2 live. Love to see either of those played live. Then we get into No Prayer the Dying. Now we're starting to get, these are sort of, the No Prayer and Fear of the Dark, I think, are not seen as their sort of stronger albums. I think, you know, obviously the writing was on the wall really for Bruce Dickinson leaving at this point. No Prayer for the Dying especially so. 3 songs on here. Fate's Warning, surprise, it's a Dave Murray pen song. I think that's probably the best out of these 3, and that's one that might be worked quite well live. Run Silent, Run Deep, yeah, it's a little bit of a strange song about submarines. So they would, you know, but you could probably do some good stuff with a stage set if you played that. But again, can't see them playing that live. And then the last song from No Prayer the Dying that they haven't played live I'm not surprised, because in my opinion, it's one of their worst songs, and that's Mother Russia. So those 3 songs from No Prayer: Fate's Warning, Run Silent, Run Deep, and Mother Russia. Not played them live. I'll be very, very surprised if they ever play them live. Then we go on to Fear of the Dark. So Fear of the Dark, I think it's seen as quite a key album. I think it's mainly because the title track is such a big song, and actually it's been played on lots and lots of tours. In terms of songs that have been played a lot, Fear of the Dark is up there with a sort of top 10 really. But it's also, this album also has the most songs from it that have not played live. So I'll give you the titles: Fear is the Key, Childhood's End, The Fugitive, Chains of Misery, The Apparition, and Judas Be My Guide, and Weekend Warrior. All of those songs, there's loads of songs that they've never played live. They didn't play them on the Fear of the Dark tour, which is the tour I actually saw, because they played Donington that year. But look at those songs. I mean, Fear is the Key, it's a bit of a throwaway track. Childhood's End, again. The Fugitive, it's a very sort of by numbers Iron Maiden song. Chains of Misery, the Apparition, yeah, again, pronunciations are bad. But Judas Be My Guide. Now, as I listened to this album recently, I did think it was a little all over the place. There's a lot of, it doesn't sound that Iron Maiden in terms of when you put it against all their other stuff. It almost does sound like, it's more like, say, things like Tattooed Millionaire by, the solo album by Bruce Dickinson. It doesn't sound as Iron Maiden are sort of known as, really. But there are some good songs. Judas Be My Guide is up there with one of the best songs, not only on the album, but actually one of the best Iron Maiden songs. It's a short little song, but it's really catchy, and I think it'd be a really good live song, so I'm surprised at that. Weekend Warrior, yeah, I listened to that again and I thought, yeah, it sounds like Iron Maiden trying to be AC/DC. It's quite different in terms of Iron Maiden. So there are the songs that they haven't played live. As I say, I think there's 40 odd when we go across all the albums, but I'll do a second part so not make this video too long. But certainly those first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, first 9 albums, there's a lot of good songs on there that I haven't played live. So what do you think? Which are you, when you go see Iron Maiden play live, is there a song that you think, oh, I really wish they'd play this? I mean, even songs that they haven't played, that they've played live, a few times, but they don't seem to play them. I mean, is there a sort of deep cut by Iron Maiden you think, oh, I really wish they played that? Maybe some of the Paul Di'Anno stuff. I mean, I love The Prophecy. I'd love to see Remember Tomorrow and Strange World. Those sort of songs played live. Phantom of the Opera, they have played live, but I would love to see them play it live. I haven't seen them play it live. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments of your deep Iron Maiden cut that you just wish the band played live. Maybe, what's on your wish list for them playing live on this next tour that they do. Let me know in the comments. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe. It really helps the algorithm, and give a thumbs up if you like the video. Watch out, obviously, if you subscribe, then you'll be notified of when I do part 2 of this. Probably in the next sort of week or so, I'm gonna probably release a part 2 of this. So hope you've enjoyed this video, something a bit different. And until the next one, you know what you got to do. Keep on rocking.